Hey you guys, it's Britt. Tonight we're here to talk about Catelynn and Tyler from Teen Mom. They are being widely discussed yet again because of their very constant, upset over their adoption situation. And we've known that they've used it for 16 years now as a storyline, and they are still, feet planted and are very, very upset over the way that things have unfolded with the daughter that they gave up for adoption back when they were on Teen Mom. But I want to share a couple clips with y'all and also have a conversation about, how Tyler and Catelynn, they're not necessarily right in this situation. And we're going to go over the actual agreement as well that they signed back when they gave their daughter up for adoption. So either way, that's a long-winded intro, but if you're interested, please keep watching. All right, you guys, so what I'm going to do is I will link another video that I did in the fall of last year. It was in September around there. And I talked about kind of how we got to this point where Catelynn and Tyler are so upset over the fact that they were blocked by the adoptive parents of the child that they gave up for adoption when they were both 16 and they were on Teen Mom. That will give a little bit more insight. And now we come to February. It's been about 5 months since that video was posted. And Tyler specifically has been extremely vocal about how upset he is and how unfair it is and how they were supposed to have an open adoption and it wasn't open. And they've got a bunch of fans that are literally fanning the flames. They are fanning the flames. They are throwing gasoline on the flames. They are cheering these two on when they go on these, very irate rants when it comes to the topic of their daughter that they gave up for adoption. Now, recently, Tyler has also shared other updates aside from the being angry and claiming that they're being shunned and being treated unfairly. He's also written quite a bit, and this one update that he shared recently, it says, "We have taken Dawn's advice." And if y'all don't know, Dawn was their adoption counselor. She was the one that kind of led the charge and was their agent when it came to everything to do with the adoption. All we can do is share our perspective and truth as birth parents. All we can do is continue to advocate for the minority group of adoptees. We started an email for Carly and write to it often, so when she's older, if and when she reaches out, she can obtain the password from them and read these emails that were written to her. We only want her to have what we believe she deserves. That's the truth. We've actually received our whole adoption file, and the details in it are even more shocking than we anticipated. We only want what Carly wants, and if that means having nothing to do with us, then, he's basically, for me, this is an effort to get people back onto his side as a way to present as somebody that is really has accepted this, and finally after 16 years I've accepted it, and we're gonna back down and we're not gonna harass or bother the parents of Carly, because even though this might be a very direct opinion to have, I think it's common knowledge that when you give your child up for adoption, yes, you are their birth parents, but you are not the parents who raises them. You are not the parents who they spend every single day with and eat every single meal with and do every single homework assignment with. You gave up that right. And it was obviously in their best interest. Anyone who has even seen a little bit of Catelynn and Tyler's episode will know that they both had very, very toxic home lives and were in no position to care for a child. Now, one of the things that Tyler, I've heard speak about a lot is open adoption, open adoption, open adoption. Now, before I read some of this paperwork, having an open adoption is not co-parenting. Having an open adoption is not, you're not like one of four parents that's able to control what's going on in this child's life. I'm not sure if nobody has told him that, or if he has been told and he's just in denial. Maybe he just still thinks that open adoption is co-parenting, but it's not. So some of the paperwork, and shout out to Big Aries on TikTok who saved this. It says, communication. All of this boils down to Catelynn and Tyler wanting a huge wide net cast as far as how they can communicate and get in touch with and talk to the child that they give it for adoption. It says, Brandon and Teresa, who are the adoptive parents, agreed to send pictures and an update letter every 3 months for the first year and 2 times a year thereafter for 18 years. Catelynn and Tyler would like to send birthday and Christmas gifts to Carly. Catelynn and Tyler are requesting a DVD recording of birthdays through the age of 5 years old. Tyler would also like to specifically request a photo of Carly alone at each birthday through age 18. Exchange of these items will take place through Bethany Christian Services, Madison Heights location. This is not you bombarding the adoptive parents with constant texts, videos, photos, like photos of, yes, technically Carly's siblings, but those are not, like, she doesn't know these kids. They're not in the same household. So, say what you want about that, but this was not an open line of communication through text and email. The adoption agency was to be the messenger, so to speak. Catelynn and Tyler will respond to updates and letters written to them. Catelynn and Tyler will provide childhood pictures of themselves and current pictures. Catelynn and Tyler may request visits with the adoptive family in the future to be initiated by Catelynn and Tyler and at the discretion of the adoptive family as they determine what is in the best interest of Carly. Like I said, Catelynn and Tyler have consistently pushed boundaries, ignored boundaries, and not acknowledged that Brandon and Teresa are trying to do the best things for this child that they adopted, that Catelynn and Tyler were not in the position to raise safely. Catelynn trying to get her other kids to FaceTime Carly and, like I said, sending them all of these photos and all of this stuff, it's just a bit too much. The updates were to be only a couple of times a year, and they were to go through the adoption counselor, who is Dawn.
Brandon and Teresa agreed to send pictures and update letter every 3 months for the first year. Every 3 months the first year. And 2 times a year thereafter for 18 years. 2 times a year. Okay? Only 2 times a year. And then it says, Catelynn and Tyler would like to send birthday and Christmas gifts to Carly. That's it. Birthday and Christmas gifts. Catelynn and Tyler are requesting a DVD recording of birthdays through the age of 5 years old, only until the age of 5 years old. Tyler would also like to specifically request a photo of Carly alone at each birthday through the age of 18. Exchange of these items will take place through Bethany Christian Services, Madison Heights location. It's not through text message. It's not through phone calls. It's through the actual adoption agency. Okay? This is the paperwork, people. Catelynn and Tyler will respond to updates and letters written to them. Catelynn and Tyler provide childhood pictures of themselves and current pictures. Themselves, not their 3 other crotch goblins. Themselves, okay? Catelynn and Tyler may request visits with the adoptive family in the future to be initiated by Catelynn and Tyler. This is very key, important information. Open your ears for the people that want to be on Catelynn and Tyler's side right here. And at the discretion of the adoptive family as they determine what is in the best interest of Carly. It is not a co-parenting situation. They don't just get to have the visits, okay? That they aren't owed visits. Stop saying they're owed communication. They're owed visits, and it's supposed to go through the adoption agency. Catelynn texts over and over and over and over. They call over and over and over and over. They send picture after picture after picture of the whole family. They're not even sending it of just themselves. And it's not supposed to be all fucking year long. It's only 2 times a year. You guys need to get, like, this is the agreement. Okay, I had to screenshot this shit. Then it says, both parties agree to inform Bethany Christian Services of significant events occurring in their lives, such as serious illness and death, and also agree something. I can't read that. But let's go to the very bottom. Understood that this is not legally binding agreement. This is not a legally binding agreement. This is just a guideline. That's why they could never legally do anything when you guys say it was an illegal adoption. It wasn't illegal. Please stop saying that. Let me roll the clip for you. Okay, let me roll this clip for you.
So one time I sent her some flowers. So, like, I had this blanket made with all the pictures from the visit. Teresa texted Dawn and she said, we do not want them to send anything else to our house. It is so out of control and inappropriate.
So now no more gifts.
Once every other week or so, I've been sending, like, updates about what we're doing, pictures with the kids, just, like, random things. So that way Carly can see, like, I was continuously sending updates and stuff, and then there was no response to that.
But see, okay, what I don't understand though is that some of these are not delivered.
Well, if they don't say delivered, that means I'm blocked.
Yes,
What?
as you should be.
Yeah, she had you blocked.
So I have another clip, but I want to dissect what I just went through with y'all. So you saw the adoption agreement. You see how they're acting on the show. You cannot tell me that they are not crossing boundaries, that they have not brought this upon themselves. Why are you sending constant gifts to their home? Why are you not going through communication through Bethany Christian Services? Now, I know that Brandon and Teresa probably opened up that line of communication with them because they felt comfortable back when they were teenagers, when they sent them that nice gift box of, like, baby clothes, of Carly's baby clothes when they had Nova, and they did get in a texting relationship. And I feel like that's where Brandon and Teresa went wrong as well. But it's like, at the end of the day, Catelynn and Tyler, you guys kept pushing boundaries. There is no reason you should be texting every week or every other week, Teresa, constant long paragraph text messages like you're writing a 4-page fucking love letter, and then a bunch of pictures of your crotch goblins that have nothing to do with Carly. That is not her siblings. The pictures were supposed to be of you and Tyler. Like, constant updates of what you're doing, of what she's missing out because you decided to give her up. That's weird. That would be traumatic. That is too much. I don't even talk to my best friend every week. Like, her and I can barely get on the phone half the time because we're both, like, busy. She works full time. I work full time. I have a kid. We're both pretty married. Like, it's just what it is. So, like, for me to have somebody constantly harassing me and just like that, I would have blocked you too, because it would give me anxiety. I cannot do that with, like, all my other stuff that I have going on, and read all that and sit there and go through it with my daughter. Like, no. They overstep their boundaries, and they're so blinded by everything, and they're so gassed up by their fucking stupid fans that they don't even see the harm that they're causing. They're not even seeing what they're actually doing. Y'all fans are really part of the problem. MTV is part of the problem. You put batteries in their backs, and you have really helped. It's not your fault, but you have helped with the destruction of this relationship they've had between Brandon, Teresa, and Carly. And it's deservedly so.
I'm also going to play one more clip because it's a great example of how Tyler clearly says, if I don't get my way, then I'm going to get mad. And that has been a common theme since back when this happened all the way through current day. And you're not going to catch me here saying, I know what it's like to adopt a child. I know what it's like to give a child up for adoption. I know this, I know that, because I don't. I have not walked in those shoes. But what I can say is the building blocks of being a parent is that you protect your child or your children. And if you give up that child to another set of parents or parent signing your rights away, they should be doing that same thing. And as hard as it is to even fathom this, sometimes they might have to protect that child from the birth parents. I haven't heard a lot of people acknowledging that, what if, because Carly is 16 or just about to be 16, what if she's the one that is seeing all of this unfold on social media somehow, some way, and she doesn't want anything to do with Catelynn and Tyler? She's at that age where she's not a little kid and she can think for herself. She can now come up with her own boundaries and her own rules and her own decisions on what she wants to participate with or not participate with. Catelynn and Tyler want to utilize Carly and the adoption as a forever storyline so they can continue to make money, because that's the thing that's keeping them relevant. As far as the Teen Mom franchise goes, they want to continue doing that while Tyler is over here on OF and showing NSFW images for a fee to those who are willing to pay him that fee. Brandon and Teresa are not the kind of couple that are on a site like that. And I'm pretty sure that they would never want their daughter, whom they adopted, to come across that content. They probably don't want her to ever see it, but it is without a doubt Catelynn and Tyler's internet personalities, the things that they've said, the things they've done publicly are very concerning, and I can understand why Brandon and Teresa would want to shield their young daughter from a lot of that. I'm going to insert a couple of other videos that I've come across from creators talking about this, because it's just really, really wild. When you give up your kid for adoption, it comes to a certain point where you have to just put your hand out and leave it there. And when the child is 18 or older, they might want to have a relationship with the parents, the other siblings, the extended family, friends of the family. But you have to allow that to happen organically without having meltdowns and hissy fits on social media. I can understand wanting to share your story, but if you're looking out for the best interest of your daughter and your other children, there's a way to format that content without it being exploitative, inappropriate, coming off as being harassing, or anger-filled.
All right, y'all. So Tyler has given an update to the situation, and I'm going to go ahead and read it with you. I'm actually at the gym, and I stopped my workout just to give you guys this last update. And after this, I'm going to move on from this whole situation because they decided to move on, so I'm going to move on. So here's Tyler's update, adoption update. We have taken Dawn's advice and have since stopped sending gifts and updates. All we can do now is continue to share our perspective, experience, and truth as birth parents. Hopefully you stop using Carly's name. All we can do now is continue to advocate for the minority group of adoptees. That's the only, you know what group he's talking about is the group that agrees with him. He won't listen to the other adoptees. I've had multiple people in my comments and in my DMs saying how like he will literally silence or say he doesn't care about the adoptees that have an opposing view as his. So it's really funny how he puts that. We start an email for Carly and we write to it often. So that way when she's older and if and when she reaches out, we can give her the password for her to read at her discretion. We only want her to have what we believe she deserves, and that's the truth. And what truth is that? Your truth or the whole truth? We've actually just received our whole adoption file, and the details in it are even more shocking than we anticipated. That's very interesting to me because it's like, why don't you release it then so it can just back what you're saying? Why would you hide it? You've been so out in the open for so long with this situation, and now when you have this supposed bombshell, you're just gonna hide your hand? Okay, interesting. We only want what Carly wants, even if that means her wanting nothing to do with us. Are you sure about that? Because all your actions that you've done on like social media and on TV literally says the very opposite. But hey, hopefully you really mean that. Which we stated from the beginning. Adoption begins with trauma and loss for the baby, which is the only one who truly matters. And I'm glad we finally agree on something, because that really is the only person that matters, which is Carly. And her being able to just live her life without this big looming situation basically chasing her, since they are most affected by it. So all we can do now is continue to spread adoption awareness, and that's what we will do. I want to thank all of the support we have received from the adoptee community. Your voice matters more than any. Only the ones that really agree with you, right? Because that's what I've been told. Anyways, I promise we will do everything we can to help elevate that voice. Only the voices that agree with you. So I'm glad that they've decided to move on from this whole situation and just let Carly live her teenage years in peace, and Brandon and Teresa. And I hope that maybe one day she reaches out to them and they can actually finally come to some sort of resolution, or just I don't know what the word I'm trying to I don't know, just that they can just finally all lay it to rest and get what they need out of the situation. I really do. I'm not against it, but I just think that the way they have went about it is my problem. The way they went about it has been horrible. But what's funny to me is I feel like this response is still gaslighting. This response still takes no accountability. And it's just like, I don't feel like he's learned from this situation. And I also don't think it's based on Dawn's advice. I honestly think that it's funny how he puts this out after this whole week. It's been backlash from everybody on TikTok who have like finally connected the dots and put together the fact that like they have been harassing these people, and that the adoption agreement wasn't legally binding, that Brandon and Teresa did follow the agreement, that they pushed the boundaries and wouldn't accept no for an answer. So it's just funny how now he decides to put this out when I know for a fact that they filmed Teen Mom like even a year prior. So I don't think it was based on Dawn. I think it's based on what's been happening on social media, because people are finally waking up to the BS that those two have been putting out. So I'm done with this. I'm moving on to my next topic, which is probably going to be Amber, because that's a whole nother deep dive that I want to get into, because this lady it's been like years and she hasn't learned anything. But I'm glad that it's now hopefully going to be to rest, and that they actually follow what they're saying. And yeah, thanks for all the support, y'all.
We've always expressed that if it was Carly who wanted the disconnect, we would honor it with no questions asked. I wouldn't be making this video right now. It would just be, it would just not happen. It wouldn't be happening, right? So that's all we really wanted to know is this what Carly wants? Because that's all we really want is what she wants. And you know, they won't give us that answer. And so I guess this is my opinion, I'll be the first person to tell another adult if they're harming my child. No questions asked. I would be like, hey, you know, if Nova's like, hey, Dad, you know, this person talking about part of my story is hurting me, I'd be the first person. I'd be like, hey, listen, you're hurting this child, and I need you to stop, or whatever the case is, right? That's communicating. That's communicating what the problem is, and then the problem stops or whatever. We rectify all that stuff. So I think it's interesting how you won't communicate. I think it's interesting that they won't communicate what the problem is, or actually just clarify if it's what Carly wants, which is you're not advocating for her. Why? I'm a father of 3 kids. I would literally do anything. I'd be the first person to say, hey, what you're doing is harming my child. Please stop. Or even if it was Carly who wanted the disconnect, I would say, hey, it's really hard for her. It's not really good for her right now. Let's take a step back. Whatever it is, I would never just not explain it, because you not explaining it or communicating it, you're not advocating for her. And that's kind of where I'm frustrated with, I guess. So, and especially when we've constantly reached out and said, hey, if this is what she wants, please let us know. What does Carly want? What does Carly want? What does Carly want? And the fact that they, you know, won't give us the answer, and specifically told Dawn that they have the answer, they just won't give it to us. They refuse Dawn to let us know that answer. I think it's really weird, and I don't understand that. So there's just things about this whole situation that is just not right. And this was an open adoption, that they made an open adoption agreement with 2 minor children, and they're at the age that they did that and made that decision with me and Kate, that agreement. I'm almost at that age that they're at. And I think to myself, man, if I was in their position and watched like the devastation on these 2 kids and what's going on, I couldn't have done it. I'd been like, listen, or I at least would have gotten down to their level and said, listen, you don't have to do this. You can still change your anything. So it's weird. As I get older, you start like going, whoa, like that's right. Like I'm the same age they were when they saw 2 minor 16-year-olds in a crisis. And it's just like, it makes you think a lot more. And as you get older, you realize that this whole adoption industry is so corrupted. Oh my God, if you only knew what it was like behind closed doors, what the paperwork we had to sign, the verbal language used about, you know, what's best for the baby is for you not to be its parent. And we know by science that's not true, that it's actually biologically, it's always best for the child to be with the biological mom. And that just goes for pre-verbal trauma, right? We now know, science proves that babies who are separated from their biological mother experienced pre-verbal trauma. They can't speak on it because they're brand new, but their cortisol level shoots in their brain. Do the research yourself.
So Catelynn and Tyler have been slammed by Carly's adoptive parents, Brandon and Teresa. Finally, we hear a little something from them as to why they are upset with Catelynn and Tyler. So let's go to this article from OK Magazine. Catelynn Lau and Tyler Baltierra slammed by adoptive daughter Carly's parents. They're out of control and inappropriate. Brandon and Teresa finally made their intentions with Teen Mom. The next chapter stars Catelynn and Tyler known, and it's evident they want no relationship going forward. In a trailer for the February 6th episode of the long-running MTV show, Catelynn reads aloud a text from Teresa. "The way you speak about us online was very hurtful, so we're not going to be responding." After reading the text, Catelynn shows her husband tons of updates that she had been sending to Teresa, but had not gotten any responses. Tyler then points out that some of those hadn't even been delivered, which led them both to realize that Teresa had blocked Catelynn's phone number. Now, although Teresa had promised Catelynn and Tyler that they would be allowed to have occasional updates on their daughter and send birthday gifts during the adoption process, it's clear that is no longer what she wants. In the episode, a text to Dawn, the adoption counselor who coordinated Carly being adopted to Brandon and Teresa, is also shared with her. In that message, also from Teresa, she said she doesn't want Tyler or Catelynn sending anything else to their house. It is so out of control and inappropriate, she said. We all know that Catelynn and Tyler, they've been talking about Carly a lot lately. They have talked about the fact that they have been shut out from Carly's life. They've talked about the fact that it's been no contact, that recently Teresa told them that they're not even allowed to send gifts. Catelynn also said in a recent interview if she could go back and make a different decision as to who she adopted Carly out to, she would do that. She said, "I would make a different decision with my choice." Now, she said the reason she would choose different parents is because she would want to choose parents that actually lived in Michigan where they live. And she would have also chose parents that wanted an open adoption from the beginning. As Brandon and Teresa, they did not. Brandon and Teresa, when they sought out the adoption agency, they made it clear they wanted a closed adoption, which makes me wonder, why did Dawn give Brandon and Teresa's profile to Catelynn and Tyler, knowing that Catelynn and Tyler, they wanted semi and open adoption versus Brandon and Teresa wanting a closed adoption. I'm not really sure why she gave them the profile considering, but yeah, Catelynn says that if she could go back, she definitely would have chose parents that wanted an open adoption versus a closed adoption. Catelynn and Tyler have both stated that if it's Carly that doesn't want any contact with them, that if Brandon and Teresa would just let them know, then they would cease all communication. Catelynn did reveal in a recent interview they do have an email set up for Carly where they send her messages, that they send her emails. That way, when she does come to them, they can give all this to her, where they send pictures of the kids growing up, pictures of them. They send it all to this email. And when and if she ever does reach out to them, they will turn over the email to her so Carly can see that they never forgot about her. They always tried to reach out to her. But they also say they will continue to speak out publicly. That way, if Carly can't see this, she will know that they never.
I know this video might be a little 50-50 because everyone has their own opinion when it comes to birth parents, adoptive parents, the adoption industry as a whole. I think, you know, all of us have a little bit of a different perspective, and I'm going to be looking forward to seeing what y'all have to say about this. So either way, for now, if you like the video, please leave a like and a comment. And if you'd like to see more from me in the future, please subscribe. I'll see you guys soon. Bye.